What a game. That's what I have to say about that performance. The Colts lose a heartbreaker to the Los Angeles Chargers on the road in overtime after making an incredible comeback where it just seemed like everything was going against the Colts for most of the day, and they were able to come together with a game tying drive to send it to overtime. And it was pretty inspiring to see this team come around after some obvious special teams um, problems early on and throughout the game, and I'll talk about that as I break down the game a little bit. The thing I do want to mention, I want to mention kind of the highlights first before I go into kind of what went wrong. I thought Jacoby Brissett, 21 of 27, 190 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Almost a picture perfect game for what you wanted him to do. This game, he didn't make, he wasn't forcing the ball. He was taking what, was given to him. That's kind of the Frank Reich offense that has, he's kind of tried to bring in. And what last year we saw what he did with Luck, Luck for most of his career, and what the Colts have been under Pagano for several years. It was kind of slow developing plays. Well, now we're seeing a lot of run, of course, which I'll talk about the other key contributor to the offense today. But it was when we weren't running the football, it was short plays. It was plays one on one with the defenders on the outside. I saw a lot of good things a couple of good things from Devin Funchess, and I'll mention him a little bit later too. But you love to see Jacoby Brissett coming out and doing what he did. You like to see T.Y. Hilton have 8 catches for 87 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's a captain now, and he is one of the veteran leaders on this offense now. Him and Costanzo are really kind of the OGs there as far as the players on that offense. So for him to have a big game, really big. And Marlon Mack is the player of the day, of course, with 25 carries, 174 yards, and a touchdown. Just you loved everything that he did today, and that's averaging 7 yards a carry. And he had some big runs. He had the long touchdown of 65 yards, which really just jump started the Colts. And when they really needed a score, it was right after the Chargers had scored, and he just comes right down and hits a huge run off the left side, gets a cut and gets a nice block out there from, I saw Quentin Nelson and Costanzo on that left side of the line blocking for him. And you see the speed. There is some speed there with Marlon Mack, of course. And last year, at the beginning of the year, he dealt with that hamstring injury. And hamstring injuries, as I've talked about before, can hurt a player so much just with getting to full speed. He hasn't had that issue in over a year, so that's really great for him. And we saw him get full speed today a couple of different times, and it was really looking good as he was just downhill running for most of the day. And even off the left side, I saw a lot. I thought the left side, we really ran the ball well, that it was just patience, kind of like what you see with Le'Veon Bell. He just was following right behind Costanzo and waiting for the outside crease to open up. He'd scamper for 5, 6, 7 yards, something like that. I saw that a lot, and just good play from this offense. There were a couple times when it just kind of sputtered. There was the time when Jacoby Brissett, he mishandled the snap, and just drive killers like that, and a couple, I think 2 sacks on the day given up, from Braden Smith. It just got beat. And I think the other one was on that right side. It was either him or Glowinski gave up a sack. So you didn't see much pressure from that left side there. So the Costanzo and Nelson really kind of won the day. But you saw those things, and the ball was kind of spread around a lot. I thought when when the Colts passed the ball, that it was going to Ty. We saw him a lot. You saw it kind of in the second half and kind of in the fourth quarter, some um, design plays to Paris Campbell. I saw like a screenplay inside the red zone, and you just saw there was some really nice hands catches by Devin Funchess, and one where he injured his shoulder. It was a really nice throw from Brissett to the left side of the end zone, just kind of a 50-50 ball if he could come down with it to get the touchdown. And he did catch the ball. He was out of bounds, though, and that's when he kind of limped off the field and was showing some pain to the shoulder, and he was ruled out for the rest of the game. So that's something to watch, of course, as he's your number 2 receiver, and he had some nice plays, I thought, today. And just, pretty good all over the board. The bad things that I saw, of course, Vinatieri, the goat, missing some big points, leaving 7 points on the board with 2 missed kicks and a missed extra point. You hate to see that from a guy that you just want to root for so bad, just because he's been in the league for so long. He's been a Colt for a very long time, and now it's running into the question of, well, do the Colts need a new kicker? Well, it's so quick to jump to that just because of raw emotion out of the potential of a one game there, because of at the expense of Vinatieri's missed kicks. Obviously, went into overtime and he left 7 points on the board. So you never know how a game plays out, of course, but it just really hurts to see that one. And a guy that I root for and I really like as a player, that's tough to see. And it'll be interesting to see kind of how they handle this going into next week, if they're going to bring in a new kicker, maybe a little tryout session, see if Vinatieri might be hurt. We saw he was dealing with a knee injury throughout kind of training camp, but we haven't seen any lingering effects from that. We didn't think that he was at all limited coming into this game. So is he hurt? That'll be the question, and something that the Colts, I'm sure, will monitor really closely. And so Vinatieri, that really hurts you. The defense gave up some big plays today, and that's something that you can't do. And Austin Eckler just ran all over him, whether it was catching the ball. He had, let's see here, he had 96 receiving yards on 6 catches for 2 touchdowns, and he also ran 12 times for 58 yards and a touchdown, and I believe like 40 fantasy points, which is not what you like to see. Melvin Gordon is out, and that's their backup running back, and he just shreds you completely, was just kind of in all phases of the ball. The Colts kind of were giving up some underneath stuff that was kind of developing into some bigger plays we saw last year. They kind of contained those, dink and dunk little passes into small gains that you could live with. But I thought they gave up a bit too much today at times. And you saw, I thought I saw a little bit too much man. We talked so much about last year how the Colts kind of stuck to the zone too much. Well, I thought today that there were a lot of times when they were running man, and these corners were getting beat, and especially from Keenan Allen, who had another really good day. And that really hurt you, as down the stretch. And especially when these guys are getting tired, these corners trying to run with these guys. But I thought that overall, I'm not going to be too pessimistic at all. And, you limit some of those things. And I think this game comes out another way. Another thing I can't help but mention, of course, was Malik Hooker's one-handed interception. Like, are you serious? That's what you want out of your 15th overall pick a couple years ago, Malik Hooker. Wow. I mean, we've seen him do it before, of course, we have, but just that was unbelievable. Phillip Rivers didn't see him at all and kind of forced one in there when he didn't need to. And that led to Jacoby Brissett leading the team down to tie the game. So very exciting. Just an exciting game. It's probably, fans really should be happy with this one, even though it's a loss. I mean, you look at everything given to you. Jacoby Brissett had a really nice day. The offensive line protected pretty well, and the running game was not only there, but it was, higher than, I think the Colts ran for 200 yards or something today, and their 2018's average per game was around 100, 110. So they were well above their average for this game, which is really what you like to see. The Chargers were missing a few pieces there on defense, but they're still a formidable defense. And of course, the Chargers, we don't mention this, or I haven't mentioned this, the Chargers are a title contender. They're missing a few pieces, of course, but they really are. This team should be in the running to be, a deep playoff, contender. If the Colts can make it to the playoffs, that they could be potentially playing later on. So I think that it's really great, to go on the road in a hostile environment and almost win. I mean, just get super close, and the overtime rule, of course, kind of doesn't let the offense on the field in overtime, which sucks because I just felt like there was so much momentum going with that offense that were just rolling so well with the running game, and you hate to see it, but the defense has got to come up with the stop in overtime. The fatigue it's going to be there, and I think it's going to get better as the year goes on. But this game, you're looking around the league, and the Colts are in great standing right now, and I think a lot of people will respect the Colts after that performance, and they're okay. Like, wow, the Colts are going to be okay, and I think they will too. They're looking pretty good after that, and that's just kind of my post game analysis of the game. It was really fun to watch, and to see these new rookies coming in. We saw a lot out of Kareem Willis, and Rocky Sin was in the starting spot for most of the game. Quincy Wilson did come in the second half a little bit more, but really, really good stuff. And I was happy with the performance overall. The special teams, I'm sure they're going to get figured out, and I'm sure they've got to tighten some things up on defense. But as far as the offensive standpoint, I thought they played a pretty great game, all things considering, and not many penalties and no turnovers. So a great football game from the Colts that just barely saw them on the losing side, and it sucks to see, but you take this one, and it's a learning experience. The Colts went 10-6 last year. They lost the season opener, and they also started the year 1-5. So no time to panic at all. This is just one game on the road in the season opener, and to lose in overtime after all that's happened in the past several weeks with Luck retiring and just all the questions. I thought that it was great to see this football team united today, and they looked together and they looked ready to win, and they were close to winning, and it's not the NFL is not about being close, of course, so can't just give them too much credit but this can't just be a continuous thing. They've got to find ways to close, and the defense have got to come up with a stop there in overtime, so you can't overlook that. But I think just all things considering, a pretty good performance for the Colts, and they're going to be looking good next week as they play the Titans, and the Titans just blew the doors off the Browns today. So it'll be interesting to see that matchup as we'll go on the road again and then play the lowly Falcons, who got the break speed off them today as well. So it'll be interesting the next couple of weeks, but I thought that a tough game, really tough game that a lot of people had marked off for a loss as the Colts. I probably did as well, and that you took it to overtime and you showed some grit. So that's really what I like to see, and I'm going to come out with a more detailed podcast this week about the game. I'm going to go into a little bit more. I just wanted to kind of go into a post-game analysis here. So I hope you guys like the game, and hope you guys have some faith for this year, have some optimism. There are plenty of things to be excited about as a Colts fan right now, and don't be too hard on Vinatieri. That's the worst game of his career, and if it happens again, that's when you're definitely looking to move on. But I don't know how they're going to handle it. They're going to talk to Vinny and see how that happened, but just a killer, and I'm sure he's just sick to his stomach right now. After that, as he could have been the deciding factor of that game had he made those kicks that he's more than capable of making. But thank you for listening today, and I'll come back with another podcast this week. But you guys have a good rest of your day, and hope you keep your heads up after a close loss.